What happens if a county charter disagrees with the city charter?
Oh my goodness. I would go in purely through the mode of speculation on that point. I don't know. There may be a case out there. There probably is.
Yeah.
But I do not know. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question.
That's what we do on this show, is we ask interesting questions.
You would. You'd really have to. And it would be kind of neat if someone would bring it to a judge someday. Yeah. You know, I mean, you'd have to have a conflict, unfortunately, a justicable controversy. But
oh, we'll make one up, right, Mike?
No, please don't. But yeah, but it would get a judge. I think pondering this difference within the state constitution of how it talks about home rule provisions for cities and home rule provisions for counties.
Well, on that case then, okay, so you got the city potentially in conflict with the county, potentially in conflict with the state, and then you've got federal laws that are in conflict with what's happening in July and legalizing marijuana.
Yes, the federal law has not changed. No.
And then you've got the UN Charter, and then there's that little known thing about the universe and its laws.
Yes. So if we as a state are going to disregard the federal law, then as a precedent, why can't we then just disregard state statutes that are bucking our charter here?
That question was asked in the last cave, basically that question was asked in the last Cave Junction case that Judge Wilkie decided in this building 6 or 8 months ago. And I think that question, and he didn't rule on that particular point. He ruled separately. He ruled on the home rule provisions, actually. Yeah. But I think that is pending even now in a separate case in front of Judge Hull. And so we might find out an answer to that question before too much longer. Yeah, it's interesting to think of. Now, marijuana, recreational marijuana and medical marijuana are treated slightly differently, even at the federal level. This is kind of not well known, I suppose, but there was a case about 10 years ago, Gonzalez versus Reich, that said, I'm overly simplifying it here, but it said in essence that a state's, we're talking just medical marijuana here, that a state's involvement within marijuana enforcement will basically drive the federal government's involvement. So the feds can enforce to the extent that the state enforces. That's what the court is generally looking for in regards to medical marijuana. We're not talking recreational, and that's where there's a difference. So if the state takes a real hands-off approach to medical marijuana, then I think a federal judge would expect the federal authorities to take a comparably hands-off approach to medical marijuana. Similarly, if the state does a real high level of enforcement, then the federal authorities would be allowed to do a high level of enforcement also.
Now, we all know that banks are regulated.
Doesn't apply to recreational, though. That's why there's a difference still, even at the federal level, between medical and recreational marijuana.
Banks are regulated by the U.S. government.
Yeah, well, yeah, and state. Yeah.
So, if we have a law that allows marijuana growth and industry and use, the feds can still say, you can't take any money from that enterprise and put it in the bank.
Yeah, this is a problem that they're having in...
Probably.
Yeah.
And well, you're right, it is a problem they have in Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado. This is going on right now. Probably Washington too, yeah.
And yeah, it's a very complex question. And, you know, I wouldn't go apply for a job at OLCC right now, the Liquor Control Commission, because, you know, someone could get clever and declare that they are aiding and abetting the commission of a federal felony.
By being on the OLCC?
Well, I mean, perhaps, because, I mean, they're potentially aiding and abetting the commission of federal delivery.
They're the regulating authority on the marijuana issue within the state, is that right?
Yes, they are now, in regards to recreational. Yeah, the health authority regulates medical marijuana. So, but there was no option there. The electorate passed Measure 91. And it just said OLCC will be the regulatory authority. So I think that OLCC is not well suited at all to being the regulatory authority for marijuana. I mean, I realize you got alcohol and marijuana, but that's kind of where the similarities end. Nevertheless, that's what the law now requires, so that's what's going to happen.
Well, we're going to look forward to talking to you about more things having to do with the charter, and we'll give you the chance to look at these. And you're going to start off with the part about the city charter and a county charter, and what does it mean, and the general overview of why is there a charter, how did it get written, what does it really mean, and we're truly finding, I wasn't sure, Mike, honestly, but we're truly finding that this investigation into the charter is turning out to be a lot more lively than I thought it was going to be.
I think it's very interesting, and it has real implications to the lives of the people that live here
On a daily basis.
Oh yeah, right, exactly. It's very important, and I think people should be educated about it.
Yes, yes. It's a real asset to this community.
Yeah.
Thank you for your helping make sure that people understand this.
Okay, you bet. Happy to.